Hey everybody, Travis here,
Laura.
and we're with High Impact Leadership, and we have a special guest today. It happens to be a very good friend of mine named Keith Wallace. Keith is an exceptional human being, and I met Keith, I want to say in 2002, right when I moved from Montana to Bellingham. We got put at a random table together at a Chamber of Commerce breakfast. We've been good friends, good competitors, and he's just, the most kind, generous, altruistic, one of the, nicest human beings I've ever come across, and I'm privileged to call him my friend. Aside from that, on the professional side, Keith is the National Association of Health Underwriters National Chapter Leadership Development Chair. His specialty is in the health insurance, specifically Medicare. With that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Keith. He's here to talk to us about extracting value from whatever venture it is we all touch.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to see you, Laura and Travis. And Travis, happy birthday belated.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I'm happy to see that you made it to 38. Congratulations.
That's what it is.
I liked your intro. I think a lot of those things were true, but I can't vouch for all of them. But I do remember the exact moment I met you. It was at the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, and you said something, you said all the things you like to do. And I said, oh, what's your handicap? And you said 14. And I thought sandbagger all the way. But the part that I avoided you with wasn't because you were a sandbagger. It's because I knew that we were going to be lifelong friends and I didn't have room in the queue at the moment. So I had to kind of like wait until we made room for each other. And now look at us 15 years later. And Laura,
I've making room for me too. I
was just going to say, yeah, I've enjoyed getting to know you as well. And I've been enjoying watching your podcast and your live editions and your Instagrams and your content and your reels and all the things that you're doing. And, I want to applaud you because I've seen so many people who start on this endeavor and then they lose steam when maybe that didn't work out just the way they wanted to. And so kudos to you for continuing to do this. And I'm thankful that you asked me to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. We're excited too.
So what I'm going to talk about today is, like Travis mentioned, I am involved with NAHU, which is the National Association of Health Underwriters. And this is about a 14,000 person organization that people pay to be a part of. And then the positions within the organization that like I fill are volunteer positions. We're not paid to do them. And so really, I have found through the time and effort that I've put into this organization that it developed me into a better leader, a better professional, and even a better human being than I was prior. And so really what I want to share with you today are some of the same thoughts that I share with our own membership, which is that you have to extract value from your day. You can't just wake up and walk down the street and have good things happen to you. Yeah, occasionally you might find a penny on the ground or these days $1 or whatever it may be. But ultimately, what I find frustrating is when people complain, but yet I don't actually see any action behind what they're complaining about. I don't know if you guys ever found that as well.
Oh, yes, for sure. It happens more often than we care to admit.
We can have a dialogue about that. But so I'll just back up a little bit about the position that I'm filling is called Chapter Leadership Development. And so in our organization, we have a national level of board of directors, and then we have a regional level of board of directors, then we have a state level of board of directors, and then we have a local level board of directors. And so as the Chapter Leadership Development Chair at the national level, what my job is to do is to help the state and the local chairs fill their pipeline of future leaders. And it's not easy to do, right? Especially if nobody's getting paid to do it because they don't understand the real value. And so that's where I started really getting into how can I help people understand what the value is? And it really came to me one day when I was driving down the road. One of the things that was a goal of mine that's going to tie into this thought process is that I made it a goal to become the recruiter of the year for the National Association of Health Underwriters. And so you'll see right back over here, this is my recruiter of the year plaque. And so out of 14,000 people, I recruited more people than anybody else. And along that line, and when I was doing that, I started thinking about what made me valuable and what I found, valuable from the association. And so this really got me along the lines of thinking about extracting, because I thought to myself, what if everybody read the professional magazine that comes out? Cover to cover? What if everybody participated in the phone calls that are occurring with our legislators? What if everybody joined a board or met with a board member? What if somebody actually sent a letter to their legislator? What if somebody actually went back to Washington, D.C. and went to their senator's office and told them as a constituent what was important to them? And it just really kind of made me realize that, again, that there's so much apathy from people in life, and that when you get into a leadership position like you all are in as well, you find yourself having to elevate to higher levels, but you have to make that happen. And so kind of my last statement in my close, or in my opening argument here is that, like I said earlier, you can pay to go to college, but if you don't go to class and take the tests and earn the marks, you don't get a degree. And I think that life is a lot like that. You have to actually make a commitment, show up, do the work, and then earn the benefits of what you're trying to achieve. And that's really kind of the basis of what I wanted to share with you today.
Well, and that's also a lifelong journey, right? Like, that's not just something that just you do for a year, you do for a couple of years. Things are always changing, and that is a lifelong journey. And this, you need to commit to that for longer than I think people realize.
Nobody is born an expert overnight, right?
Right. One of the things that we have spent the last year as we're transitioning is putting a lot of hours into our own self-improvement. And I think it's become super clear to me as we've been doing that, how continually implementing and being reminded of the important things. So you're always adding value and being reminded of those really important skills that sometimes don't change.
I was just thinking about when I listened to one of your most recent broadcasts, and something that you said really stuck with me, which was leaders do the small things too. And it's not just delegating and then, taking all the accolades. Let me give you an example. Today, one of our temporary employees didn't make it in. And when I went by the front desk, I said, something about them being out. And the response from the front desk person was, really, I didn't know. I've been sending them emails all morning, or voicemails all morning. And actually, what they said is I've sent them about 8 million voicemails. So I immediately come upstairs and I message my office manager and say, hey, is anybody checking the voicemails? And the answer is no. I'll get to that right after lunch. And I said, no, I'll do it. I'm happy to do it. And so I went in and checked, there was only 6, it wasn't 8 million. But the point is that in a servant leadership position, which I think that any best leader is in, you don't expect other people to check the voicemails. If we're in a business that we're all trying to generate revenue, why would it be that I don't check the voicemails? And so it's a really small thing. And I'm not trying to tout my own, activities. I'm just saying that, those are the things you got to do. If you want to be a leader and you want to show your team that you care, you can't check out and just have them do all the work while you're taking off Friday at noon. I just wanted to get that in because I was thinking about your broadcast recently.
The big difference between management and leadership. Management is delegation, doing your thing, but leadership is, for example, if you're in a forest and the manager is, building their huts and doing all this, well, the leader's responsibility is to climb to the top of a tree and let them know if they're in the right forest or not. So you picking up those small pieces is, that's leadership at its finest.
Well, and unless you're doing all of those tasks that you know what each person is doing at every level in your company, I think it puts you more in tune to what they're doing, what's expected to communicate with them on what you expect of them. So that's awesome.
I've always felt that a person leads by example rather than telling. And I know that we all know this intuitively, and maybe sometimes a person can lose sight of that. But ultimately getting back to the basics of your business, is really important. Had a conversation with one of my business partners today that we were discussing a work project. And basically the concept behind it was you have to take small steps to achieve big things. And, you can't just take one giant leap and find success. And I think that, like you said, Travis, management and leadership are 2 different things. And often, a lot of business owners find themselves, a lot of businesses are accidental business owners, right? They find a service that they like to do. They provide it. Next thing you know, they got 14 employees. They've got no experience on how to handle those employees. I'm talking about myself right now, by the way. And then all of a sudden you're tasked with doing reviews, having to, deal with issues on pay, family paid medical leave. And a lot of times business owners are not really the people that are supposed to be doing that. And so a lot of what I hear you talking about on, your management for human resources and people would really be geared towards that person that finds themselves being an accidental business owner, in my opinion.
Well, and that's also true even in management when you're a really skilled employee, and then you find yourself, because you're so awesome at your job, you get rewarded by elevated positions. And then, like you said, you find yourself in charge of people and you don't really know how to run a team and be in charge of people, but you're really amazing at your job. So always working on that leadership component is so important no matter what level you're at.
Well, and to tag on what she just said, as she mentioned, if a person gets promoted to a position that maybe they weren't ready for, qualified for, or even trained for, they were awesome at this, and now they're not so great at that. Does your leadership and management style allow for that type of vulnerability to even open up and say, hey, I need help, and that's okay?
Right. Absolutely. Well, and that's where, professional coaching comes in, like I know you two do. And I think that people need to have people that they can trust and rely on to give them information and just, sometimes just listen, right?
I feel that's true of every level, because as we coach others, we have a coach ourselves. I think it's important to be able to, you can't always provide yourself, you need that feedback in order to have that growth. So I think that they say everybody needs a coach. I kind of believe that. This is you're a special visit with us today, Keith, because we are doing 26 days of Grateful, and our Thursdays are a highlight of 4 of our, there's 4 Thursdays, and we'll highlight one special person each Thursday of this month. And so you are one of our special to continuing that and getting over the little hump of being on camera.
But to answer your question, Keith, we are doing team culture training, connecting leaders with their teams, really diving into the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. We have a couple of the deliverable platforms that we're building out right now.
We will have in the feed where you can find us for further engagement workshops and team trainings that are up and coming on our website. So.
Yeah, cool. Well, I can attest that I enjoy watching them and that I encourage others to do so. And, keep up the good work. And I love to see you two smiling faces together. And
I'm so grateful to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Your wisdom and remind everyone how important it is to own your own journey in your value that you offer your organization. It's not a one and done. It's a continuous journey. And you're an amazing leader, Keith. I really do look up to you, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Extract value.
Yeah, go get it.
Said by Keith Wallace. I'm going to go carve a tree.
Take it.
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Keith, for your time.
That's fun. You bet. Bye, guys.
Bye.